Hey, what's up YouTube? So, I'm here doing a CHRONOJET Dragon deck profile. This is a profile I didn't think I was going to do because I felt like the deck didn't change significantly enough. But more or less, I kind of just wanted to show you guys what I felt the most standardized build of. Well, technically standardized. I'm gonna tell you what most people would change from my list. Well, in the because you guys know I gotta do a little bit different, but I'm gonna give you my insider on what I think CHRONOJET should look like for this coming format and for this upcoming Worlds grind. So yeah, if you really wanna get your invite to Worlds just like I am, take a CHRONOJET just like this. I'm pretty sure you could do it. But yeah, let's get into the deck list. The G Zone, the Crest, nothing much to explain here. The Ride deck, it has to exactly be like this for the deck to work, so not much to explain here. I'm going right into the grade 3s. I did cut this down to 2. I bumped it back up to 3 just because kind of like the way the ratios worked out in the deck, and I'll kind of get into that more as I show you guys more and more cards. But 3 CHRONOJETs, and it just helps having like more in case like you naturally draw into it. When you naturally draw into this, like in the mid game, and like after your first stride, it just like feels really good. Like, yes, I didn't have to search for this. I'm gonna get it off anyways, regardless of what my opponent does. But yeah, 2 of the pitch to stride guy. More often than not, like I'm just pitching him to stride on my first turn stride, and then I never see the other copy, or the other copy goes to Damage Zone, the other copy goes to Soul, or again, etc. You really only have like the 2 just so you can guarantee search this when you hit your grade 3 off the ride line, or if you already have one in hand to search your CHRONOJET. But very low 3 package, just because even though this is a stride deck set, you're very because of the way the deck goes through the deck, you get like so many deep draws in the early game, and you like search out 3s so hard in this deck. Like a low 3 count like feels necessary almost. One of the new Blitz Order, I feel like this is mandatory right now just because the over trigger. I do understand like how powerful some of the other Regalis pieces are, and I could only really warrant running any other Regalis piece, because if you guys don't know, you can only play 1, and you can only have 1 copy of whatever one you play in your deck. I got this information from Bushy Road Head Judge. But yeah, this is like the best Regalis piece to play right now. I know it doesn't get around every over trigger, but it gets around like 80 to 90% of them, and it's just like a good shield by itself anyways. So yeah, that's why we're running one of that. Not really much to explain there. 4 upstreams, he's your best and literally only grade 2 I run in this deck now. I know people are running the soul charging grade 2, people are running the guy that like when he goes to Guardian Circle, Soul Blast 1, he gets 15k if you have face up G Zone grade 2. I just feel like everything else in the deck is just more important to have in multiple copies than like trying to do like some cute stuff. Like I said, this is what I feel like the most standardized build of the deck is, and if you literally just take this version of the deck, just practice your plays, because believe it or not, it's really helpful to memorize your combos and not to be like thinking on the fly. This deck is really good, but if you truly want to do well with it, it's very important that you do practice your proficiency first, which this is a very easy deck to practice proficiency with, because I feel like, again, the list is very standardized. Getting on to the 1s, 4 copies of Brainwash Swirler. This card is broken in this deck because of GG. Brainwash Swirler shouldn't get hit though. Like, leave my mans alone. Shouldn't get hit. A choice restriction technically kind of does nothing to this deck. What really needs to get hit is GG, because GG is the entire deck. But some CHRONOJET fans don't want to talk about that. 4 copies of Gungan Ram. This is just like basically your extra GGs in the early game, to where it was like there was turns where I didn't see GG going second, but I saw a Gungan Ram and I saw a Swirler, and I'm just like, okay, cool. I get to do the same thing anyways, but just like for 1 more soul. So that's my reasoning for maxing out on these ones. And then 4 copies of GG. This is your all-star of the deck. This is the deck. This would let you loop draws in the early game. This card literally lets you, on your first turn of the game, going second, you could draw 3 cards. Just because you have this card. Like, it's busted. It's broken. Like, this, because of the way this card works in this deck, it actually needs to get hit. Shout out to my man Devi, because he talked about this too. For the last of the grade 1s, at least like outside of Perfect Guards, the last of the grade 1s, playing, I guess we'll put it right here, playing 4 copies of the Stridefighter. The reason why I'm playing 4 copies is just because I really like compressing my deck and like just taking all the Chronojets I can out of my deck, and it also helps you set up for your ideal second stride, which is more often than not next stage. Even if you're like, man, maybe I shouldn't next stage, more often than not, the answer is next stage. Just because it just naturally, even if it's not like, oh, I'm not going to win this turn, you take so many cards out of your opponent's hand. It's like literally so unfair, low-key. But we're playing 4 copies of the Stridefighter just because, again, deck thinning is deck winning, and this deck does a lot of deck thinning. Going on to the Perfect Guards, 3 of the DPG, not much to talk about here. 1 of the Blitz Order PG, you literally have to run this because of this deck. You have to run this. But yeah, getting on to the triggers. This can technically be whatever OT you want it to be. Like if you're really scared of the heal trigger that everyone's running, that if your Vanguard has a crit, outside of trigger effects, if your Vanguard has a crit, it gets plus 15k shield. You can run the new Overtrigger Valnut. Again, Bushiroad, you know what you were doing when you named that card. You can use the new Overtrigger Valnut if you really want to. I still think the Dark States OT is very good in this deck, especially because of CHRONOJET's guard restrict ability. This is the part of the profile that most people wouldn't run fronts. They would still be on draws, even though you deck thin so much, even though you draw so much on this deck. And I do understand fronts don't exactly help you in certain attack patterns, but you don't play fronts to check them. You check them, it's like, okay, cool, like, it's a bonus. You play fronts for the shield. Like, there was some, like, the draws, literally, the draws were like, okay, it was like a bonus that wasn't really necessary. Most times, I just drew them or soul charged them, and they really didn't do anything. I have a bad history of draws in Dark States, okay? So that's my personal reasoning for not running draws. If you really want to run it up with draw triggers, just pretend that these are draw triggers. This can literally be draw triggers. For the Into Soul crit, this doesn't have to be the Into Soul crit. I would rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. There are niche scenarios where you can make a 10k booster behind your Vanguard, and that's going to hit for like that magic number that could possibly win you the game. Or again, make a 10k booster behind a 13k attacker, and vice versa. These are literally just the triggers from the trial deck. 4 more vanilla crits and then 4 vanilla heals. Again, I don't believe in the effect heals, even with Gandiva running around. Like, I just don't believe in the effect heals. I've gotten punished because of the effect heals. But yeah, this is like more or less the most standardized version of the deck, I would say. Like, you can take this deck to a major event, and if you practice enough proficiency with it, even if you haven't, I think you could get like into top cut. But like, if literally it is just about practice makes perfect. This deck is already good by itself. You put it in the hands of a really good pilot, then like you'll go to the moon, in my personal opinion. But yeah, I didn't think I was gonna profile this deck, but I felt like it needed to be or at least I got the thought into my mind that this kind of like the standardized version of the deck needed to be put out there for you guys. So again, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me any type of content you guys want me to go over in the future. I know there are certain decks that I haven't gone over, and it's not necessarily that I'm ignoring them. It's just that other decks take priority, just because you guys know Dark States is my baby, and I have my other, rogue side projects and whatnot. Plus, right now I'm actually, like, in Worlds grind mode, even though technically, like, BCS hasn't officially started yet, but I'm already in that mindset, so I'm more or less practicing for more and more competitive events, so you guys probably won't see my more fun / casual decks on the channel as much, but I will still try to get you those really awesome deck profiles. But anyways, guys, again, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, helps the channel out so much, and later.